So good day everyone. My name is Gloria Analaluria and I will be presenting to you about internal factor evaluation. My chosen company is Ford Motor Company. I will be discussing to you my performance task as well as a summary of the internal assessment as a whole. The internal operations of a firm determine the strengths and weaknesses of a firm. If you have previously remembered, we have discussed about external factor evaluation, which allowed us to identify the possible opportunities and threats for the firm. Now, the internal assessment will help us determine the strengths and weaknesses of our firm. Both the internal and external evaluation is important. They're both equally important in strategic planning. Together, this will give a broad view of both the positive and negative effects within and outside the company. Again, together, the internal and external assessment will give us a broad view of both the positive and the negative effects within and outside our firm or the firm that we are assessing. So strengths allow the firm to take advantage of opportunities, and internal assessment allow the firm to determine its weaknesses and safeguard them or do something about it. In key internal forces, these are internal factors to be considered in internal assessment. So we have 6 key internal forces to help us systematically assess and help us consider and to not overlook one important areas or factors. So one is management, it's planning, organizing, motivating, staffing, and controlling. So in assessing a firm's management, you can ask questions like, because it's just basically the administration of an organization. It is just the art of managing the resources. So you can ask questions like, is the organization managed well in terms of personnel, product quality, sales organization, and such. Next, we have marketing. So marketing is the process of defining, anticipating, creating, and fulfilling customers' needs and wants. So it is just promoting products and services. It's more concerned with how the products and services be sold. Okay, you can assess it or you can ask questions about are company objectives measurable in terms of marketing? Are the goals or objectives well communicated, etc. Third is we have the finance or accounting. It consists of a firm's liquidity, leverage, working capital, profitability, asset utilization, and cash flow. So in financial accounting, okay, in financial accounting, you assess the financial of the company or their accounting stand. So according to many people, financial ratio analysis is the most widely used method for determining an organization's strengths and weaknesses. Again, all these key internal forces allow you or help us determine the strengths and weaknesses of a firm, but finance, finance or accounting is the most widely used. However, it involves ratio analysis. So, however, when looking at ratio analysis, you must consider 3 things: historical trends. Historical trends. You look at your company's uh, history in the past years. In the last year, in the last 5 years, are you increasing or decreasing? Second is industry norms. How are you compared to the industry you belong to? And third is competitor comparison. So if, for example, you have 3 major competitors, you compare your ratio to your 3 major competitors and assess uh, if your firm is where your firm stance, or are you strong in this area, or are you weak in this area, like that. Questions you can ask: where areas or financial areas are you weak, or where areas are you strong? Are you able to, is the firm able to sustain their short-term obligations? How about their long-term capital and other investment? This involves other investment and financing decisions. Next, we have production and operation. So basically, this is just all the activities that transform inputs into goods and services. And questions you can ask in assessing production or operations is: are the supplies of raw material reliable and reasonable? Are inventory control, facilities control policies effective? Next is research and development. So some, especially small and medium enterprises, do not see the value of research and development, because research and development is basically just it is researching to develop new products, researching to improve the product quality, and researching to improve manufacturing process and reduce cost, beneficial for the business. How can you assess research and development? First, you can ask questions like, do they have research and development facilities? Are they adequate? Or are the hired research and development personnel qualified? Like that. So number 6 is the management information system. So basically, this management information, it improves the performance of the firm. It gives the timeliness. It gives a timeliness and availability of information needed for decision making. So you can ask questions like, do all managers use MIS? Or are data updated regularly? Are safeguards uh, for protection of information installed? Something like that. Okay. Okay. The internal factor evaluation, or the IFE matrix, is somehow similar with our previously discussed internal factor evaluation. The process is also the same. The only difference is this uses internal factors and that uses external factors, obviously. So, purpose of an IFE is a summary actually of the, remember the key factors, this is the summary of the key factors. So the purpose of an IFE matrix is, first is to summarize and evaluate the major strengths and weaknesses in the functional areas of business. Second is to provide a basis for identifying and evaluating relationships among these areas, the strengths and the weaknesses. Next is, this is an IFE matrix is a tool that summarizes and evaluates the strengths and the weaknesses. Okay, when developing an IFE matrix, we need to use intuitive judgments. It means that a decision should be based on our subjective feeling. I mean, educated subjective feeling. The authors also claims that a thorough understanding of the factors included is more important than the actual numbers. This is like looking at the picture as a whole, not just in this area. So this should be conducted knowing over the overview of the company. So yun. Next. We have 5 steps in developing an IFE matrix, the same as the EFE matrix. First, you list 10 to 20 key internal factors. You assign weight. You assign rating 1 to 4, 1 being the lowest, 4 being the highest in the regard to their consideration in that area. Then multiply each factor, each weight by the rating. Then you sum the weighted score. and you have developed the IFE matrix. I will be discussing about my performance task, which I made an internal factor evaluation or IFE matrix for Ford to determine their strengths and weaknesses. I will not be discussing all 10. I will just discuss 3 of which I find fascinating. First is number 1, the improvement in chip supplies in Ford's largest market helped boost product shipments 67% from quarter 2 to quarter 3 this year. So 67% is not really a large amount because it's just from the second quarter to the third quarter this year. What really happened was the company was hit a hard chip supplies shortage on the second quarter. This is because of the fire at a key supplier factory on February 2021. But I rated it 0.10. I assigned the weight 0.10 because if they haven't mitigated this shortage, they would incur great losses in production. And I rated it 4 because they were able to, in the next quarter, they were able to mitigate it. Next is number 6. Through year end of 2020, they invested 7 billion in electrification and on their way to investing 22 billion by 2025. So, based on my research, economists predicted before that electric hybrid cars is probably gonna boost in the near future. But economists today says that they are certain that this electric hybrid cars will boost and will be used in the economy because governments are now promoting zero emission wastes and such. Therefore, I saw that although Ford was behind electrification, Ford was behind GM Motors, but they realized it not too late, so they're now heavily investing in electrification of their vehicles. I assigned a weight of 0.8 and a rating of 3. Okay, third is the Ford Explorer has recently been shifted to become more of a SUV style along with several other popular SUV models. So Ford, based on their past net sales and sales, based on their brand sales or model sales, they have found out that their SUVs are the most popular product for Ford. In fact, Ford sold more vehicles in the US than anyone else in September 2021. So they are restructuring their car models, and phasing out all other non-SUV vehicles except for the Mustang, and they are also planning to create an SUV version for the Mustang. So I assigned the weight as 0.7 and I rated it 4. So that's the strengths. Now we will go on the weaknesses. So again, I will just be selecting 3. So I select 1 and number 3. Ford reported earnings before tax of negative 1.9 billion in the second quarter of 2020, and the operating margin drops to negative in all 4 quarters for 2020. 1.46 negative in the first quarter and negative 3.86 in the second quarter, which is the lowest for the whole year. Of which the last negative margin for Ford was 0.98% on the third quarter of 2017 only. I assigned a weight of 0.10 for the earnings before tax and a weight of 0.6 for the operating margin. These are all financial or accounting parts. Rating of 3 and 3 again. Third is number 8. I watched the whole video about this. This is latest. Ford was stung with $2 billion accumulated losses recently in their Indian operations. So they had to close their manufacturing plant in India. One reason of which, according to the video, is Ford wasn't able to release yearly new products because Indian people like to switch to new things, and Ford wasn't able to do that. So Ford changes or launches new products after 3 years, 5 years, but their competitors are almost launching new products yearly in India. So that's why they are closing their local manufacturing plant on India. Next is my analysis. I will just read this. Despite the effects of the pandemic, Ford Motor Company has still managed to strengthen their internal position with an IFE weighted average of 2.86. Their shift to SUV prioritization had commendable results. With their new products and strong inventory, Ford was made America's top-selling automaker for second straight month this year. Ford brand SUVs also posted best October results in 21 years. This is Ford's third straight month above 30% and compares favorably to just 6% last year. Their projection of investing in R&D and adopting electric hybrid automotive years before the pandemic has also greatly helped them today. So that ends my report. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, you can message me on my Facebook account, the same name, Gloria Nelaluria. Again, thank you for listening. Bye.
With new CEO Jim Farley taking over, Ford appears to be steering in the right direction. Jim Farley has vowed to work with urgency, prioritizing cost reductions, focusing on the production of the best-selling models, and investing heavily in electric vehicle production to meet long-term regulatory requirements. These developments have created a substantial potential upside for the Ford stock.